Hello again, everyone. It's Ariel Hawani here on this Tuesday afternoon. Pleasure to be joined by Anthony Smith, who, of course, fought 6 days ago in Jacksonville, Florida, in the main event of the second show of the UFC's three-event stretch over there in Florida. Unfortunately, didn't go his way that night against Glover Teixeira, and there's been a lot of talk about the fight and about the stoppage and the length of the fight, all that and more. We will address it today with him. Very happy that he's agreed to talk to us this afternoon. First off, Anthony, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's always fun to me when people lose and then they hide out. They're always willing to jump on and show their faces when they win and brag. But uh, I'm here no matter what.
And I appreciate that. I expect nothing less. First off, most important, physically, how are you feeling 6 days removed from the fight?
My body feels really good. Hands are good. Um, my legs are fine. Typically, my legs are pretty sore, and you just feel like you've been in a car accident, but I actually feel fine. My mouth and my nose and face are a little bit sore, but for the most part, I'm okay.
And so you told me after the fight that you broke your orbital, you broke your nose, and you lost two teeth. Regarding the nose and orbital, do you need surgery to correct those?
No, as of right now, no. Once all the swelling goes down and things kind of settle where they settle, we'll see how my vision is. But as of right now, no. I got to check up on the 28th, and we'll just go from there.
And regarding the teeth, what are you going to do about that?
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, and then my cosmetic dentist is in Denver, so they're going to do what they can do to kind of hold me over until I can get to Denver and just go from there. I'll probably the one in the front that's completely broken off. It broke off at the gum line, so the actual tooth is still in there. It's just broken off completely. So they'll probably have to pull it, and I'll have to get an implant or something. But you know me, I got some trips planned, so that's gonna have to wait. I'm gonna go toothless for a little bit.
And to be clear, these were your real teeth, right? Not veneers.
Yeah, yeah, they're my real teeth. The way veneers kind of work, I have lost a veneer in the past on the bottom before, but my bite was kind of off, so I was biting down and it just ripped the veneer off. But they're actually permanently bonded to your permanent teeth. There's a whole process that goes through doing all that, but they grind down your normal teeth, like your actual teeth, and then there's this chemical and lighting procedure that they permanently bond. Like it's one tooth now. So it's just I just caught an elbow like right in my teeth, and it just broke them off.
Does it hurt to speak? Because it does feel like you're having a hard time like enunciating.
Yeah, it's weird because like little things like swallowing and some of the words that you say, you press your tongue to
Mm.
the front of like the back of your front teeth, so it is messing with my speech a little bit.
Okay. So before we get to the end, which I know you want to address, and a lot of people want to hear you address, I actually want to go to the beginning because we spoke around a month or so ago about what had happened at your home, and that is an incredibly stressful situation on not just you and your family, but here you are trying to prepare for a fight in the midst of all this, and there's all kinds of media attention surrounding it and whatnot. Now that it's all over, going into the fight, where were you at mentally? Did you feel like you had done a good job of compartmentalizing that and you were 100% focused on the fight, or looking back, was it kind of on your mind even though you had been removed, a month or so from that tragedy and that event?
No, I think I did a good job kind of pushing that to the back, and I just try to look at it like a normal job. Like normal people have to go to work kind of no matter what goes on in their life. And that's kind of how I looked at it. I didn't really have any of that going on in my head at all, or really thinking about it too much. I did have like I felt physically really really good, but I did have one of the most eventful and distracting and tough training camps I've ever been through. But I feel like I was able to push through a lot of those things, and I felt good going into the fight. I really did.
Okay, so the fight starts, you're there, empty arena, and it looks like you're doing well in the first round. How did you feel early on in the fight?
Everything was going perfect. That's kind of how I had seen it going in my head. Um, he didn't show me anything that I wasn't expecting. Everything kind of went how I thought it was going to go the first two rounds.
So did you feel like you won those first 2 rounds?
Yeah, yeah, I think the first was I was definitely busier. You know, I landed the I'm not even sure if he hit me in the face in the first round. Um, the second round, he started to attack my legs a little bit more, so you know, I was having to be a little bit more mindful of the leg kicks. He pushed forward more in the second round, so it definitely I had to change my approach a little bit. In the first round, he was more willing to let me escape off the cage when he would push forward. In the second round, he cut me off a little bit better than he did in the first. But I still think I won the second round.
From what you recall, and by the way, have you rewatched the fight?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. In its entirety?
Mhm.
So from what you saw and what you recall, when did you feel like things started to turn a little more in his favor?
Um, he hit me with an uppercut in the third, and that's kind of where things started going downhill for me. You know, it's this is the second time I've had my orbital broken, and it's so weird. Like some guys get their orbital bones broken, and they don't have too many problems with them. But both times I've had mine broken, it completely shuts down my vision. Uh, and I don't know why. I don't know what. And maybe that's just the type of break that it is. And you know, they're all different. There's different places you can get them. But that was the shot that started messing with my vision. And
Wow,
after that, it was just I knew right then and there this is going to be really tough to come back from because I couldn't quite track everything coming from my right side. So I could see it at the beginning, but I would lose it halfway. And you know, like that's just how I mean that's just the fight game. You know, one shot can change the entire game. Once he hit me with the uppercut, I backed up towards the fence and was kind of trying to figure out like trying to regroup myself. And I kind of just threw some wild knee, chin up in the air, and you know he hit me with that big left hook that dropped me.
so it was the right eye that was giving you problems. You could see out of your left, but the right you could hardly see anything out of?
Yeah, yeah, dude, it was that was bad.
Wow. Are you like, are you freaking out? I mean, you've been there before, so many times, but like you're fighting a grown man who's very dangerous, who's looked good as of late, and you can't see anything out of your right eye. That has to be terrifying.
Well, and it wasn't completely blind. It was just it was really really hazy, and that's why I kept wiping it. It was almost like I had something in it, like I had blood in my eye or something. Like it was super foggy, and I couldn't track anything. If he threw a straight jab, it was fine.
Hmm.
But Glover doesn't really throw super straight punches all the time. Even his jabs have a little bit of an arc to them. So I could see it at the beginning, and I'd lose it halfway, and I wouldn't see it again until it was crashing in my face. Um, so then I was trying to figure out like what was going to work best. Like, is it better to clinch and kind of fight from there? But then every time he hit me, you know, I thought my eyeball was going to pop out of my head. So I was like, well, this isn't going to work.
Right.
So then I try to be at distance, and then it was straight panic mode at distance because I couldn't see the shots coming from far away. So it was just I was just trying to figure it out. You know, I'm just that's how I do it, man. I'm just always trying to figure it out. You know, I'm just trying to figure it out.
So it looked like it got really dicey for you towards the end of the third round. And I was wondering because just looking at you walking over to the corner and in the corner in between the third and fourth, I was wondering what your corner was going to do. If there was going to be any sort of conversation about, maybe stopping the fight, but that never happened. Do you remember the state that you were in? Like how much, trouble you were in physically at that point, how much you were hurting going into the fourth?
Was that when I said the thing about my teeth?
Um, hmm. I actually, yeah, I do believe so. I mean, I look like you were sort of out of sorts. I don't remember if that was between the fourth and the fifth or the third and the fourth, but it
I think it
was.
was the I think it was the third and the between the third and the fourth.
Mhm.
Sometime in the third, he hit me with the elbow like right in my mouth, and I was really just trying to gather myself that third round. Like I don't remember taking any real big shots that really that really had me worried. You know, he has really heavy hips, and so he did a good job of keeping me down. But I definitely took a handful of like real big shots, but I don't think I took them consecutively. You know, it was I would take a big one, uh, and then I'd have to regroup and try to figure it out and get safe and whatever. But uh, I remember going back and trying, and I don't know who said it. I thought it was Mark Montoya. He says it wasn't him, but someone said you got to keep your mouthpiece in. And I've never been a guy to lose his mouthpiece. I don't think I've ever had a mouthpiece come out and fight, but it was rolling around in my mouth because the tooth was loose inside of my mouthpiece. And so I was just responding to what they were saying. Like everyone's looking at it like I was looking for a way out, or I was saying that so that they would stop the fight. I was responding to someone saying, "You got to keep your mouthpiece in," and I was saying, my goddamn teeth are falling out." Like, so by me saying that, when James Krause was in that his last fight, he came back to the corner, and no one said anything about it. James sat down, like I think going into the third round, and said, "This guy's kicking my ass." But like, that's just in the moment realness, real quick. It's not like you're looking for a way out. You're not trying to quit. You're just being real for a second. And that's kind of what I was doing. Like, they were just talking about my mouthpiece. Like, you got to keep it in your mouth because you never want to catch a big shot with your mouth open and not biting down on your mouthpiece. It's the easiest way to get knocked out. So I was responding by saying, like, my teeth are loose. My mouthpiece is a custom fitted guard. So once you lose one of those teeth, your mouthpiece no longer fits. So that's the point I was making. I guess I could have done it better, but I was kind of busy at the moment.
Right. So you weren't asking for a way out. You were just telling them.
Yeah, no, I wasn't looking for a way out. They know that. They know the rules.
Okay, so then let's cut right to the chase. What do you make of all the criticism that your corner has received? Not the referee. We'll get to the referee, Jason Herzog, in a second, but the corner has received a lot of criticism from media, from analysts, from myself. I will be honest as well, saying that they should have looked out for you better and stopped the fight sooner. What do you make of that criticism?
They I feel bad because they're in a tough spot. I don't know if they wanted to stop it or if they thought about it, but I take that option away from them before we have ever gotten to that. Before any of this ever happened, before we ever anything, before any, I took that option away a long time ago. If you want to sit in my corner, that's my rule. You don't stop the fight. You don't put your, like, leave it in my hands. Don't take it out of my hands. So, like, I've told them before, if you stop the fight or you throw the towel in, you can go ahead and walk back to the locker room by yourself because I'll never stand by you again. I don't need liabilities in my corner. The way that I fight, I end up in spots sometimes, and that's just how it goes. And most of the time, I've been able to come back and win. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you run out of time, and sometimes it's just too high of a hill to climb. But uh, I don't need those liabilities. I don't need to be getting to bad spots, uh, working my ass off to try to get to a better position, and constantly having the back of my head worried that my corner is going to step in and not give me the opportunity. So whether they did or they didn't, it didn't matter. Like, that's the rule. That we don't stop fights. That's it. And there's a lot of other people that's on, and that's the referee and the doctor. And there's a reason those people have a job. Like, that's their job. If he thought that it would needed to be stopped, then that's on him. The doctor thinks that I can't continue, then that's on him. That's his job. That's what he went to school for. That's what he's being paid for. Uh, I'm paying them to help me win fights. I don't need them constantly in the back of their head worried about how much damage I'm taking. That's not their job. I need them. They're paid to help me win fights, and that's it.
So you've had explicit conversations with your cornerman saying, if you think about stopping this, if you do stop a fight that I'm involved in, we are never working together again.
Yes.
And so why is that? Like, why that mindset? Because you could also make the case. I mean, look at one of the most famous, biggest boxing matches of the last decade. Wilder Fury was stopped by a cornerman. Why do you feel like that is a bad thing?
I just always want the opportunity, and I want it to be on me. I'm a self-made guy. Like, I don't need anybody to step in and protect me. I've made it this far in my life. I've gone through all the adversity, not just in the sport, just in life in general. I don't need saved. I don't. And I felt like in this fight, it still wasn't like, I don't get all the uproar. Like, I don't think it was that bad. I really don't. So, but in general, as a whole, I just I just want it on me. And I've always looked at the doctors and the refs. That's their job. If there's two people already being paid to worry about my safety, like, why do I need four other people to do that? And that's how I look at it.
So when you see other fighters,
Well,
like
and
you,
it's not a money thing either. Most of my money's guaranteed.
okay,
Like, I don't have the 50-50 split like most people. Like, my win bonuses aren't that big.
hmm.
Like, there's I got my show money, and then there's other stuff that comes in, like, in my contract. But like, as far as a win bonus, I could give less about the win bonus. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Like, my it's been guaranteed for a long time. So it's not like they're afraid of taking away half my money because I got most of it anyways.
Is there something to be said for the notion that like when you step in there, the onus is now on them and the referee? They're the biased party, the referee's the unbiased party, and they're looking out for you because they want you to live to fight another day. They want you to be healthy. They want, that sometimes you can't think clearly in those moments, so you give them the power as other fighters have done. Is there something like you feel like that is a rational, thought process, or is that something that you can never subscribe to?
No, listen, I understand why people do it. I get it. Uh, and I would never knock anyone for throwing in the towel. Like I've seen fights where I'm like, man, they should probably stop that fight.
Hmm.
Like it's just not for me. It's not that I'm against it for other people. I think that it needs to be done in MMA more often. It absolutely does because I think we see some really bad situations sometimes. I just don't want it for me. It's kind of like that parent thing. Like, excuse me, like it's real easy as a parent to tell your kids like don't do this, don't do that, but like sometimes you do it yourself. So like I know what's best. I just don't I just don't want to be a part of it in my own team.
It's rare in situations like this where it seems like the fans, the media, and the fighter analysts, right, are all in agreement on something. It seemed like most people felt like the fight should have been stopped sooner by your corner. What did you make of what was being said by the media, the fans, and your fellow fighters?
Like I got to really tiptoe around this because there's a couple different angles here. Like I don't want the fans to think that I'm unappreciative of them caring. And I think that that's the vibe that a lot of them have gotten, that I'm upset that they care. I'm not at all. Uh, Also, I have colleagues that I work with on the ESPN side, guys that I really, really respect, uh, that I think sometimes forget what their other job is. And I mean that with absolute respect. I definitely don't want this to go like I don't want this to be an Anthony Smith versus DC or Felder or Anik, or I don't want it to go like that because I love those guys. I appreciate the hell out of them, um, and I do care that they care. Like I appreciate it. I do think sometimes, especially during this whole pandemic, I think people are a little soft. I think they're a little soft. Even watching it back, I felt even more like it wasn't that bad watching it back. Like I went through it and I was the person it was happening to and didn't feel like it was as bad as people were making it seem. And then I watched it and I still feel the same way. Um, as far as the fans, I get it from the fans and the media. I understand because 99.9% of those people have never done it. They haven't done the work to get there. They don't know. They can't even fathom us going into a fight in general. Like that escapes most people. Like what it takes to actually step in there and do it. So I wouldn't expect them to understand when things kind of hit the fan. So I guess I don't really have a lot to say about the fan part of it because I know that they don't understand. Media, I think that there's not a lot of news going on right now, and I think that that was an easy home run. And it's easy to attack people when things don't go your way. Um, and sometimes I think there's media members in our sport that thinks that their opinion is the only one that matters. And if things aren't that way, then it's outrage and anger. And again, there's not a lot of news right now. So like this is a big story because the fans were kind of being sissies about it. So, and as far as my colleagues, you know, I do find it odd that like guys that are as tough as Michael Bisping, Daniel Cormier, and Paul Felder are upset about like me being in a tough fight. Like and that's how it feels like to me. Like I was in a tough fight, things kind of hit the fan and it didn't go my way. But how many rounds has Paul Felder fought with a broken arm? Like you can fight with a broken arm, but my teeth being gone is too much. Like, come on, dude, what are we doing here? Like Michael Bisping, in the biggest fight of his life with Anderson Silva, when he got knocked out at the very end of the round, for the beginning of the next round was a dead body, and was able to fight back, was given the opportunity. That's all I wanted was the opportunity. And if it didn't go my way, then that's on me. And then he goes in and wins the biggest fight of his life. And it is a legend because of it and because of his toughness and the tough fights that he's been in. It's just I guess I don't get it. Like and maybe some of it is they're just completely being media members on that side of it, and that's how they look at it. But like I I feel a little bit betrayed Like I feel like I'm very honorable when it comes to talking about other fighters and other guys. And if I ever had like a really big issue with something, I feel like instead of attacking them online, I would call them and say, hey man, like, maybe we messed this one up, or maybe we missed something here, or like, how could we do this better? Um, like there used to be a brotherhood, and maybe just, I guess I'm the last of a dying breed of kind of the old guard and the old way of doing things. Um, but I would just never blast them like that. Like I'm just in there fighting for my family and trying to accomplish my goals. And then here I am, I've looked up to DC as long as he's been on top, like looked up to Felder, and I've told Felder this before I was even in the UFC when he was commenting for the CFFC that I looked up to Felder and the way that he fought, and I have nothing but respect for Anik. He's done nothing but help me try to flourish and grow on the media side of it and on TV, and helped me a lot. Uh, I just wish that was more of a conversation we had in private.
Is it possible though that they said these things because they do like you and respect you and feel so strongly about you that they're doing out of love, right? Out of concern, not to
Oh, for
bash you or
sure.
to make you feel bad.
For sure, for sure. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't want them to think that I'm like coming at them. I don't want this to be like a back and forth thing. Like, I absolutely know it's because they care. I just the the fans and the media, MMA whatever.com, it starts with DC, and then like they control the narrative. So what DC says during the fight and what Anik says during the fight, that all ends up being the way that the masses think. DC was saying, listen, guys, you gotta look at this differently. Maybe you feel like this, but maybe his corner's seeing something different. Like, if there's the other side of the conversation, then some of those people are going to be looking at the other side. But if they're only looking at the way that he's looking at it, I mean, that's the whole point of him being there, right? Is to be the eyes, and for people to see things that they wouldn't typically see. So like the entire world that watched it is like they followed that narrative. So like that's the fans, like they don't know what they don't know. So like they're just going with what DC said. They're going with how Anik looked at it. And again, I appreciate people caring. I really do. I just think that like it's been made such a big deal. It's not that big of a deal to me.
If you were working that night as an analyst, whether it's at the desk or in the booth, how would you have reacted to that? If it was fighter X in there, same exact fight, same exact, flow, finish, all that stuff, how would you have dissected it?
I've done it before. And it's for the other fight that people give Mark Montoya crap about, was the Thomas Gifford. I was on the desk for the Gifford fight, and I said the exact same thing that I'm saying now. I didn't even address the fact that Mark did or didn't stop the fight. I think that's an opinion thing. It just depends on who you are and where you sit in the world and how you view things. I said on the desk on ESPN that that's on the ref and the doctor. And so I mean, like, it's not like this is just something I'm making up now. Like, I've said this months and months and months ago, that I don't care what you feel about if the corner should have stopped the fight. I don't think it's his job. And I said it then, and that's what I would have said in my own fight. Like, I just I think that there's two people that are hired to do that, and I think that's who it needs to be on. And
I'm
if you
assuming.
want change and you want things to change, I think that those people are the ones that need to change things.
So I'm assuming you've talked to your corner since then, right? Um, how do they feel about it? They haven't said all that much about it. How do they feel about the decision to not stop the fight and also the criticism that they've received?
I mean, they're kind of sissies too. It's the same issue I have with Jason Herzog. Like now that like I feel bad for James because now James is second guessing himself, and it like it's kind of the same. Like, stop being a sissy, dude. Like I guess I don't know if people don't know this, so we might be making breaking news here. Social media is not like the real world. Like,
Mm.
I don't know if everybody knows that, but who gives a shit what people say on Twitter? Like, who cares? Like, that's their job is to be people on Twitter. Like, that's who they are. Uh, I just don't understand. Like, I've never let social media or like what people say affect the decision. Like, if I think I made a bad decision, I'll go back and I'll look at it, uh, evaluate it, and if I think I need to change it, then I do that. But I'm not going to do that because other people think that I need to. And that's my issue with Jason Herzog. Jason Herzog is a phenomenal ref. he's really good. He's very, very good. And he did his job and he did it correctly. So now that, there's a little bit of heat because people are in their feelings and they can't handle it, he wants to go back and apologize. Like, what are you apologizing for? Like, and that's what I meant when I said that's a coward move. Like, don't because social media, because Twitter is mean, you're gonna go back and and think that you have to make a different decision to appease the masses. That's like I make it a point before every fight, in our fighter meeting, to know exactly what their commands are and what he expects out of each one. And I did the same exact thing before the Glover fight. And so I know what to expect when I'm going in there. I know what the ref is going to do. Uh, and I responded accordingly per his commands right before the fight. So what are you apologizing for? Because you can't handle the heat on Twitter? Get out of here with that. It's the same thing with my coaches. Like I just like that's just the way I fight. Like, things are going to get a little heat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a little bit of heat. Like, if you can't handle it, maybe you're in the wrong business. And
So when
and
you sorry, go ahead.
um, that's my message to them. And I reiterated the fact that nothing changes. So if this is too hot, then get out of the kitchen, because this is how I run my career. And like, I need you guys to help me win. Period.
So when Jason Herzog, the referee, who has a great reputation, came out with that statement on Friday saying no one is to blame except for me, what was your reaction when you read that?
You're being like you're being a coward.
Were you surprised that he did that?
Yeah, I don't need you to take the heat off of me. I don't need your help. Like, I I made the decision with my coaches a long time ago that this is how this was going to go if I ended up in this spot, and I was okay with that. And then I made the decision to have that conversation with Jason Herzog to make sure that I knew what he was going to want from me if I ended up in a bad spot, or if Glover ended up in a bad spot, because there's two sides to that.
Mhm.
If I'm going to be listening to the commands, and I need to know how close I am to finishing Glover or not, so that if I don't want to empty my gas tank and not even be close to a finish. So I was very clear with him before the fight, and he'll tell you that. I'm probably the only guy that does that. I'm
What do you
very,
say?
very, I'm very clear on what it's going to sound like when you're about to stop a fight. I need to know that.
Hmm.
So I did everything he asked me to do. Everything. If he was going to stop the fight, and I don't think that he needed to at that moment, but if he was going to stop it, the only time he could have done that was right when Glover dropped me. Right when he dropped me, I was face down for a second, and I took two shots on the Glover's way down. Like, that was the only time that, like, I could look at it and say that was probably a moment he could have stepped in, and probably not a lot of people would have said anything. Then, other than that, there wasn't another moment for him to stop the fight. It never happened. I never took consecutive huge blows.
Do you recall handing him your teeth, and were you afraid when you did that that he would stop the fight?
Yeah, I wish I would have done that, because it's the aesthetics of it that just look like, you know?
Right.
It's I do well, I look down. Glover hit me with, like, just a little pop shot, and my mouthpiece kinda jiggled down in the bottom of my teeth, uh, and I just looked down and my teeth were right there. And for whatever reason, like, I don't know if I thought I was gonna put it back in or what, but I was just like, "Oh, there's my tooth," I just grabbed it, and then I had it in my hand, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I just handed it to him. But again, I wish I wouldn't have said anything about my teeth, because that was when the media started picking up on, "Oh, he's knocking his teeth out." Like, I guess I missed the rule that said you needed all your teeth to fight. Like, in the grand scheme of things, I've been in way worse situations than just a couple missing teeth. I've been one-handed more than a couple times. It's really not that big of a deal. And I wish I wouldn't have handed it to him, because it just looked bad. The aesthetics of it is just not good.
Did Jason Herzog speak to you after the fight?
No, no,
Have you talked to him since?
huh?
Hmm.
No, I don't think there's a reason to. I think like
I was just
his
curious
hands.
if he apologized to you, if he was apologizing to the
I
world
wouldn't
for
have accepted it.
right.
I wouldn't have, because I don't need an apology. Me and him, like, his hands are clean on this one. Like, we're good. And
What
again, like, I want to reiterate again, I think he's a phenomenal rep, and I would love to have him in there with me again,
hmm.
because he's very clear. He stays out of the way. He's quiet. Like, Keith Peterson is another guy that I really enjoy too, because, like, they don't insert themselves. Big Dan is good. Like, they stay back, they let you fight. Sometimes you even forget that there's a ref in there. It just I like that, and he's very clear with his instructions. He only speaks when he needs to, and, like, he's great, man. He's really, really good.
So I was just about to ask you, do you, in the future, would you ask to not have Herzog ref one of your fights? You just answered that question. So we know where you stand there. What about the relationship between you and your cornerman? Your coach, Mark Montoya, has been with you for quite some time. Has this affected your relationship? Will you change your corner moving forward?
No, no, and I think that there is some things that we're gonna have to talk about and address, and a lot of it is gonna be a lot of toughen up and deal with it kind of conversations. Like, I know that Mark is very, very upset at some of the things that are happening online. I know James is upset. I know, like, everyone's disappointed,
About the
because
criticism,
they're
you mean?
what? Yeah,
With
from
the
yeah, they're just, and it's not their fault. Like, what were they supposed to do? Like, really? Stop the fight, and then I fire them all?
And they knew that.
Yeah. I reiterated it yesterday. Nothing
Oh,
changes.
you spoke
In a
to them
group
about this?
text, nothing
Okay.
changes.
Right.
Like, and you can ask them about it. Like, nothing changes. Like, obviously, we got to get better. We got some things I got to fix, technical stuff, just the way that we train, some of the approaches and stuff. That's an ever changing thing. We're always going to change stuff like that, win or lose. Uh, but in this situation, I don't need them. I had to make sure, like, this part of it doesn't change. Like, I don't need to worry that you guys can't handle it.
So I want to float something your way, and I appreciate the relationship that we have because I feel like I could be honest with you and
Mhm.
you won't hold it against me, type of thing. Because I said to you last year, I think you should have taken the win against John Jones, right? And you, in so
Right.
many words, called me a sissy as well for doing that, and I
Mhm.
respect it. I didn't take it personally, but I feel like you should have taken it. He did something illegal. It wasn't your fault. It was a big fight. You should be the champion in that moment. And so you can make a strong case, and I can make that case because I feel like you should have won that fight because of the illegal knee, that your corner should have advised you in that moment because you were probably a little bit out of it at that point because you were hit with an illegal knee. Hey, man, take the belt. Live to fight another day as a champion. We'll make a lot of money. This is good for your career. Warrior spirit, all that stuff, that doesn't put food on your family's table in 5 years, right? But being a light
Right.
heavyweight champion does. And so you can make a case that the corner failed you that night a year ago and they failed you last Wednesday, right? In my
Well,
opinion.
actually, in the John fight, they wanted me to not continue.
Really?
Not because they wanted me to steal the belt or anything. They knew I was hurt,
Yeah.
and they knew that I was compromised and that I wasn't going to be going back as strong as I was. And it wasn't like, you need to sit down, you can't continue. It was very much a, like, are you okay? Like, don't keep going if you're not okay.
Right.
It was a lot of questions, like, are you sure you're okay? But they won't let you talk to your corner.
Mm.
So it's a lot of yelling from where they're sitting.
Hmm.
But I don't think that I don't think they would. I think that they wanted me to be 100% and be not compromised illegally, moving forward. I didn't give them the option.
And
I
I'm
just
not trying to suggest being a weasel per se, but
Mhm.
that's a byproduct of the illegal knee, right? Like, hey, I'm here to protect my guy. I've been put in this spot to protect my guy. He pays me. I need to look out for his best interests so that he's not hurting in 10 years. And so, hey, if a byproduct of saying we can't continue is winning the belt and winning all this money, then great. That's a nice thing. But that should be, in my opinion, the mindset for the main event at UFC 240, whatever, or the first fight of the night at UFC 240, whatever. And so I was just wondering, it just sounds to me to basically say this in a roundabout way. In some cases, it seems like the corner is in charge once the fight starts. But when it's Anthony Smith in his fight, you have explicitly, and I don't think a lot of people know this, and I think it's important to know, you have told the coaches and your cornermen, you are in charge. Anthony Smith is in charge. Don't you dare stop this fight for good reasons or bad reasons to win the belt, to take money. I am the one who wants to go out of my shield, essentially, is what you have told them. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
And I don't think
yeah.
a lot of fighters
Well,
say that.
yeah, 100. Well, and that's kind of what I'm finding out. Like, I
Yeah.
thought everyone did that. You know, I thought that was normal. I thought that was kind of like just a normal thing. Um, and I guess it's not. And again, maybe it was normal with, the kind of the older guard of guys. Uh, I mean, even my old buddy Chael,
Yeah.
was furious.
I haven't heard him that mad in quite some time, and he was
Me either.
furious.
And then I had to, I shot him a text that night, like, come on, chill, calm down, chill out. And I know, and again, it comes from a place of caring. So I want to keep saying that. Like, I appreciate it. I really do. Like, I really feel loved. I just don't think it's that serious. I
Hmm.
don't. I don't feel like this is like a fight where you're watching someone get beat to death. I didn't feel like that.
Would you, if you have an up and coming fighter, if I'm a guy who's about to start my career and I ask you for advice, hey, should I employ the same thing with my cornerman? Like, is that smart? Are you able to say, hey, this is my rule, but it's maybe not the smartest way to go
I'm not
about
even
fighting?
saying that I wouldn't stop the fight.
Interesting. Wow. So someone
Like,
might
I
say that
would
that's
definitely do it for
contradictory.
somebody else. Oh
Really?
yeah, yeah.
What? What? I thought you don't believe in it.
For me,
Right.
for me,
Then
I
why would you
like
do it for someone else?
so my best friend, his name's Ryan Thompson.
Hmm.
Fought on the regional scene. He never made it to any huge shows or anything, but in his last fight, he he shot a takedown. The guy stuffed his takedown, circled around behind him, and kind of hit him with one of those uppercuts behind his arm, like Dan Henderson hit Fedor with. It
Hmm.
was one of those, and knocked him out. And I was immediately stopping the fight. Like, I just didn't have, like, the ref just beat me to it.
Hmm.
But like, I was ready to throw the towel then because I just can't watch it.
Why would you do that for someone else, but you wouldn't want someone to do that for you?
Because I know who I am, and I know what I'm willing to lose, and I know how far I can push. Like, I know how deep I can dig if I really need to. And again, I've done it before, and I've just I know I know everything about myself. I know that sounds stupid, but I know what I can handle. Like, I know how much I can take. And I don't know that about other people. So
How does
like,
your wife feel about this mentality?
um, she's she's on board because that's the supportive thing to do.
Right.
She doesn't necessarily enjoy it, uh, but she's going to support me in anything.
Right.
And I just I think it's a bigger issue that sometimes the cornermen have to. Like, if people want things to change, I don't think it's fair that you put that on the cornerman, that they have to be worried about protecting their fighter and trying to help them win at the same time. Those two things kind of go against each other. Like, I talked to John Hackelman on the phone yesterday,
Mhm.
uh, who's Glover's coach,
Yeah.
and like, that guy stops fights way too early,
Right.
and he knows it, and he admits it, because he just cares too much. And uh, so, like, there's people that are on the opposite end of that too, where some guys can't take it at all,
Did
and
he call
it's
you or
just
you call him?
he texted me and I called him.
Oh, wow. Text you for what?
The chit chat.
Okay. Wow, that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, and Glover is as well. What about that sequence? Do you remember him apologizing to you?
Yeah, I didn't know what he was apologizing for though. I didn't. I was just like, yeah. That's why my response was what it was, like, as I didn't know what he was apologizing for. Uh, but like, and maybe I got too much of that warrior spirit, and maybe someday it's gonna bite me in the ass. But uh, like, I feel like if you if your corner stops the fight, I feel like the fighter gets a clean win stolen from them.
Mm, wow. It's an interesting mentality. I mean, again, you were alluding to the fact that people can't fathom doing what you guys do. I'm one of those people. That's why I have so much respect for you guys. I always thought that the corner is there to not only guide you and coach you, but to also protect the fighter. That's been my thought process when it comes to their job. And so I actually like it when I see a corner stop the fight, because it's like, wow, these guys really care. I know it's a ballsy move. They'll probably hear from the fighter in the back, because we've seen situations like Czech Congo and Pat Barry, right? Or
Yeah.
Pete Sell and Scott Smith, like crazy turnaround, finishes. But
Well, and those two things are 10 years apart.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not even like it happens that often. So I
right.
get it. Like, when Duke Rufus stopped Pettis and Tony Ferguson, wasn't
Uh-huh.
it, for a broken
Yep.
hand?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was amazing, because how much balls it takes to stop a fight like that, knowing what's on the line, and what kind of incredible fight those guys were in. I I admire that. I just I just don't want any part of it.
That's amazing. Did you talk to the UFC brass afterwards? Dana White, anyone there? What did they say about the fight?
Yeah, yeah, they've called me a couple times just checking on me, which again is kind of another weird thing. I'm like, "Why do you guys keep calling?" Like, "I'm good. I'm good." Uh, Hunter reached out, Dana called, Mick Maynard's checked on me, like, and and I work with a lot of the people in the back too. Most of the ESPN staff, the security guys, the blue shirts. So they've all reached out. Like I'm feeling really really loved. I really am.
Mhm.
Uh, Other than the fans that are calling for my retirement, people have been pretty cool for the most part. Um, it, it's it, I feel a lot of love. I do. I just it makes me uncomfortable when people are worried about me. You know, I don't know why. It's
I
just
respect that.
it's uncomfortable.
Obviously, you have some healing up to do, but perfect world, when would you like to return?
Um, Maybe like July or August.
That soon?
Yeah, yeah. I do better when I keep. I mean, you forget I was out for a year.
I know, but broken orbital, broken nose,
I
teeth.
mean, I broke my nose in the John Jones fight and fought Gus like
I
six
know.
weeks later.
Yeah. 3 months actually, to be exact. It was March to June, right?
No, it's like 6 weeks.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I'm not gonna argue with you about it. But okay, so you want to come back quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I do. I like no later than September for sure. And I think there's a lot of intriguing matchups. I think there's, maybe it'd be nice to step down from the guy with the face on the poster, and just fight a regular fight.
Hmm.
And if it's a main event, it's a main event. I doubt I get one for a little while, but um, I think that there's some definite fun matchups for sure.
So this hasn't affected your love of the game or anything like that.
Nah, nah, man. This is the game. This
Right.
is this is the game. Like sometimes it just doesn't go your way. Like one shot changes the whole game. Like
Mm.
who knows what that fight looks like if I don't get my orbital broken with an uppercut. That's part of the game. He hit me with a clean shot and then dropped me right afterwards. And it's just sometimes the ball just gets rolling downhill and it's hard to stop. Uh, but I'll do what I always do. Pull myself up by my bootstraps. We figure out where we went wrong. We fix it. Uh, get in better shape. Get faster. Get stronger. And we just run out there and do it again. And fortunately, probably now there's probably a lot of people that are going to be jumping on the ticket to want to fight me now. So there's always some positive byproducts. I mean, I bet Corey Anderson's licking his lips right now.
Mhm. Or maybe you could get Luke Rockhold out of retirement, and we
Yeah,
get
I
to see.
mean, listen, we're both coming off of losses. This is a pretty fair fight right now.
um, I know that you've been kind of sitting on these thoughts for a while. In conclusion, anything else that you feel like we didn't touch on that you want to get out there?
No, no, I just again for the last time, I appreciate everyone. I really do. I appreciate DC. I appreciate Felder. I really, really appreciate John Anik. That guy just cares so damn much. Uh, I appreciate them, the fans, everyone at the UFC has been great. I'm all right, and I was all right then. So maybe this is a bigger issue that just kind of manifested itself in me, and maybe there's other fights that have gone too long and people are upset about it. And this is just the one that kind of put them over the edge. I don't know. But that's it, really, man. I just appreciate everyone. Jason Herzog, don't change anything. You're a hell of a ref, uh, and keep doing your thing. And don't let Twitter hurt your feelings.
Yeah, that's a good lesson for all of us. And by the way, one last thing. Obviously, it was big news when we talked about what happened at your home. Is life kind of going back to normal for you guys? Do you feel like you're slowly getting back to, you know, obviously that was a very traumatic thing for not only you, your wife, and your kids. Do you feel like things are getting back to normal a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think the trip to Florida was really, really good for the kids.
Hmm.
It changed the scenery, and the whole time we were gone, they never brought it up. So
That's good.
it was never talked about. It was never, they slept fine. This is the furthest my two oldest kids have slept away from me that entire week. They were on the complete opposite side of the house. Um, they weren't even like freaking out too bad about the doors. Like obviously, I checked all the doors and made sure it was locked, but they weren't worried about it. They came home. We got home yesterday, and last night's bedtime was fairly simple. There wasn't a lot of worry, or they didn't bring it up. They didn't have me check the doors or anything. It was cool. So maybe just that change of scenery and giving them
Yeah.
something different to look at helped, you know?
I'm glad to hear that. It's always great to talk to you, man. You're always very candid. You're always very honest, transparent. I appreciate all of that. Sorry it didn't go your way on Wednesday of last week, but looking forward to the comeback and appreciate you, taking all the heat here and answering all these questions. Thanks as always, Anthony, and speedy recovery to you as well.
Thanks, Ariel. You take care.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.